Hello and welcome back to, I don't know, episode 54. Hang on. Yes, hello and welcome back to episode 54. I really should be more prepared about these things. In this one, I am hoping to get everything ready to get the key turned. I have already been busy and got the fuel lines completely finished. They're now P-clipped the whole way in, the return line's been ran, and I am about to wire up the fuel pump, put a drop of fuel in and pressurise the system. Basically to see whether or not any of my fittings leak before I put the plenum on, because it'd be a bit sickening to put the plenum on and realise it's leaking and have to fix it. So I think the plan of attack is going to be to remove this plenum, check all my fittings are tight, and then finish off wiring the fuel pump. The wires to it, I just need to physically wire it in, put a ground to it. Then, yeah, just check everything's tight and pour a bit of fuel in and turn the key on to see if it primes, which hopefully it does, if I've got my wiring right. So yes, as said, I don't know if I'll actually get it done in this episode, the actual starting, but I'm off next week. Yes, next week, and I intend to try and get it started then. So if not this week, be sure to tune back in next week. And in order not to miss that, if you would subscribe to the channel and hit the wee bell beside the notifications thing to be notified of any new videos coming up, that'll be very much appreciated. And while I'm here doing this, carry on, pop over to my social medias. They should pop up on the screen somewhere now, and my Patreon details should appear at the top right and in the description. So yes, anyway, let's get cracking. So as part of the last few bits and pieces of work, I've been able to get at this a couple of hours over the last couple of weeks, really. I've had other stuff in, working on it. I've got the throttle position sensor wired in properly and working on the laptop that it now calibrates. The unit that Emerald sent me, I need to get onto them actually, it seems to be faulty. Because I put the old throttle position sensor back on that came in the car and it's working perfectly. The config changes in the ECU firmware side of things are all done. Now it's able to fire the Audi coils. And I have got all the sensors reading, apart from the map sensor, which I still need to wire in, but there's the air inlet temperature and the coolant temperatures plugged in and stuff. It sees all that. I haven't cranked it over yet, there's no oil in it, but I haven't cranked it over yet to see if the crank sensor is working, but hopefully it will. I need to get this plenum off now and get the, just so I can get out the fuel rail basically, just to check for any leaks whenever I do pressurize it. So without any further ado, I'm going to get this off. Funny it was that easy to do in real life whenever you had a problem. Right, they're all tight. They've been tightened down. I've tightened all the fuel lines onto the filter, and I have tightened that one-way return valve thingy down there. I might take you on a wee walk in a bit and show you the P-clips routing, but it is just what it is really. Fuel lines attached to a car with a few P-clips, so not that overly exciting really. Yes, next stage I'm going to wire this fuel pump in, and then I'm going to hopefully check for leaks. So I have the wire ran down now from the on the side of the car out to the pump. So just need to get a rough length for it here. Then I can start doing connections up. need to get a heat shrink ring terminal. I think there was actually some came with the pump somewhere. Wherever on earth they went to, I have no idea. There we go. Would you imagine it was actually in with the fuel fittings? So I've got the boot already slid away on up there. So put this on using the blue part of the crimpers. Which did nothing. So move up to the red ones. More like it. Ah, come on. There we go. Yeah. Same goes for the earth. I've just ran a brown cable up into the cabin. Go straight to the red one this time. And can you guess who forgot to put the boot on? That will be me. Oh well. I'll go back and put it on. Because I don't have any more ring terminals that size. If you know me well enough by now, that means I 100% will not go back and put it on. And yeah, it's going to stay like that now. At least the live is protected. By the way, this exhaust is only sitting here. It will be nowhere near this by the time I'm finished. I only had it sitting there to see if it was going to fit over the 5-link, which it does. So that's something, I guess. Okay. That's the two of them tight. In theory, if I turn the key on now, I should hear the pump prime. In theory. So, in theory, if I've remembered to put a fuse in the fuse box for the fuel pump, which I think I have, in theory, whenever I turn the key, I should hear the fuel pump. Oh no, I shouldn't. I haven't connected the earth up. Rookie mistake. Be right back. Time to see if this thing works. Oh. The one downside of getting comfortable seats is you do not want to get back out afterwards. So, anyway, enough procrastinating. Yes. We have fuel pumpage now. Does it turn off? It does turn off. Something's working. Right, so all that's left really now is to put fuel in it. Then I can pressure test the lines to see if there's any leakage. Then I can start building the turbos on, and then the inlet plenum on, plug all the sensors in. I have to wire in the map sensor and the oil pressure sensor and the NOx sensor. All of those things have the wires already run to them, they just need terminated, thankfully. And then yes, in theory, well, I have to fill it with oil and sort the oil filter out. Potentially pre-fill the oil cooler. There's a few things yet to do, but quite happy that fuel pump works. Okay, I have now drained some fuel out of my old fuel tank because I don't have any current new stuff. That'll be alright. And I have added it to the said tank. So battery terminal is on. I'm about to try and pressurize this, and this is the first time the key's been turned with fuel in the system, so hope there's nothing explodes. I'm also hoping there's enough fuel in it to actually pressurize. In theory, if I crack one of these lines, it should tell me if there's been enough in it. Nope, third time lucky. That's the feed, so first slacken it off. There should in theory be some pressure here. And nothing. Nope, not enough fuel. Okay, be right back. So, got some petrol. Time to chuck it in. Now's about the time where you see me scrape the whole side of the car with a jerry can and or spill everything. So enjoy. Bet you didn't think you were going to be sitting watching somebody fill a car with petrol today. But here we are, so live with it. And now's about the time I realise that I haven't put the sender in, or there's some sort of a massive hole in the tank and it's pissing everywhere. Am I going to check? Probably not. Be grand. Well, no leaks underneath, so that's always a good thing. Now then, where were we? Yes, that's right, we were here. So, let me just check what I've done with this. It's loose, or it's tight rather. Tight. So, see what we can get this time. Hopefully you should hear the pump changing note whenever there's actually fuel in it. Yep, there we go. I can hear stuff dripping, so that's always reassuring. Where's that coming from? Coming out of here. Did I or did I not tighten that? Turns out I didn't, so there we go. That would explain why fuel's pushing out. Tight. And I did tighten this one, didn't I? I did. And I'm going to clean this off because knowing my luck, petrol's probably not great for anodizing. I was pretty good at cleaning it right enough. Shiny again. Right, round two. So we're now pushing out around the fuel pressure regulator, which is a new one for me. I'll just check I've tightened that, because I probably haven't. Yes, I have actually. There might still be pressure in this too. Let me check. Yes, lots of pressure. Does the fuel pressure regulator only work under vacuum? And is that why it shouldn't be leaking even under vacuum? It shouldn't be leaking on the key. Right, bit of head scratching to do. So, I don't know if you can really see here if it's in focus or not, to be honest, but there's a nipped seal on the end of the fuel pressure regulator, so that'll be why it's pushing out everywhere. I'm going to presume that this is some sort of fancy O-ring, but I'm going to have a look to see if I actually have any and see if I can replace it. Okay, so turns out there was a nip in the O-ring on the fuel pressure regulator. And this, folks, is why you check your fuel pressure and you check everything before you button everything up for the last time. Then you inevitably get peeved off that you have to take it apart again. So I thankfully had a spare Zetec fuel rail. I think it was off a Zetec. I've got 2 or 3 fuel rails lying there. I have no idea what they're off. But it had the same style Bosch fuel pressure regulator attached. So I was able to take the seal off the other regulator, put it onto this one, and I'm just about to test it really to see if it still leaks. Nope, thankfully, it doesn't seem like it does. Well, it looks good. Now just to check to see if there's any more puddles underneath her, around these fittings. I think we're all good. Just going to go and check the fittings at the back of the car, at the tank, because I haven't actually checked them yet. And hopefully that's the fuel system buttoned up, that I can put the inlet on and get all the sensors and stuff plugged in. One step closer to firing up. Okay, as part of the next bit, until the plenum has dried, I've just decided to paint it. So until the next bit, I'm going to fit the turbos up with gaskets and stuff. To do that, I don't have any short enough bolts, of course, so I have a packet of longer ones. So I shall just cut these down a bit. It's now time for me to get this bolted together, I think. So I think I will decide whether or not I need spring washers. I probably do. I figure it's handier getting at these bolts while the turbo's up the wrong way. I can always get at the other ones fairly handily whenever I'm looking down at them, but these ones are a little bit more awkward.
Could I be dead? Or is it something I
Okay, so I've got all my banjo fittings looked out. I have got new copper washers for all of them. I'm going to try and fit this lot up now. The oil hose is handy, it's on the top so I can get at it afterwards. The water hose is not handy, so I've already got it down on the engine block. Same with the return on this side, it's not handy either. So I've slid the correct size jibby clip down on here. Ready for it. As for the oil return, and I have the water fitting ready to go on as well. I need to run the outside water fittings, which need to return to the radiator. I have ordered a couple of well-done fittings again for AN4 or AN6, I can't remember what they are now, but they go back onto the radiator here and onto the top tank somewhere. Might need to run a cooler, another wee oil cooler for it, but I'm going to try it without first of all and see how it goes. So yes, time to get this turbo set in really. There's a slight warp on this flange, so I'm going to preempt that and put 2 gaskets on. I think it should hopefully, whenever the engine heats up enough, I'm hoping the warp should come back out of it whenever I keep tightening down on it, but meh, what's the worst that can happen? Take it back off and get it resurfaced. Before any of you cry, I know I need to sort this out. This is very tight to this, and hopefully it will just be a matter of turning the wastegate actuator a wee bit, but we'll have to wait and see. I can't do it until I get it bolted permanently into place, then I know what I'm working with. Need to be triple jointed to work on these things. Scratch that, quadruple jointed. Just putting these pipes on while I still have a wee bit of movement in the turbo, in case that makes any sort of a difference. Make it easier, probably not, but that's the oil return and the water feed on. I think the only other thing I need to do now is finish these bolts up, tighten them up, and then I can start running the oil lines over, and then I can start working out whenever I get the radiator in. Well, radiator modified, sorry, with the fittings welded on, what lengths I need the hoses for that. So, time to tighten these other things up.
I put on a smile and let my alter ego out wherever I will go. The stains will always show. I'm trapped inside a fake reality. Bad days will never come for me. How can I be honest with myself when I'm always playing someone
Okay, so that's both turbos on. Oil lines are ran. The only thing that has to be ran now to both turbos is the coolant hose to the outside edge of them, which is going to go to the radiator, but I can't do that until I get the radiator in and the fittings welded, so I know how long to cut them. I have got the gaskets and stuff in there for putting this plenum in, so it's time to set it up in. I need to remember to plug the air temperature in on the way in, or else I can't get at it. Okay, that's in. Just check before I tighten anything down that there's actually nothing in there. Looks good. Feels good to be putting this together, hopefully for the last time. I mean, it's probably not the last time, but I'm not entirely convinced that bolt is short enough. I think it's bottoming out, so I'm going to take a wee bit off the end of it. Okay, that's me now ready, hopefully, for putting the plenum on. So I have again applied gasket both sides of it, and time to set this up on. This is a Boost Performance plenum, for anybody who's been asking. If you look up their website, Boost Performance, you should be able to find it. That's good for the bumper. Yeah. Just remember, you have to actually put the throttle body onto this thing first before you tighten everything completely. Because there's a split face at the front. So you probably can't see too much of what I'm at here in focus anyway, but it's good to know a wee bit of non-setting gasket compound around this. I think it probably would be okay with just the gasket, but saying as I'm running turbo, there's going to be quite a lot of pressure in there now. I'm going with the fancy stuff. It's like has like a solvent in it, so it comes out runny, and then whenever the solvent evaporates off, it's really tacky and sticky. It's pretty funky stuff. It's normally around about now, just whenever I have the last bolt tightened. But I remember I forgot to put an injector in or something. So I could be in here again, but hopefully not. I think I've been fairly meticulous this time around. I'm going to call it a success. I need to get the idle valve put onto the side of it with a wee gasket here, throttle position sensor mounted, and sort out there's a kink in this pipe here which needs sorted somehow. So a few bits to do yet, but I'll get there. Okay, time to get this idle valve, this thing, fitted. This is a brand new one. It's actually off a, don't kill me now, it's off a Vauxhall. Because the standard Cosworth one has some sort of a stupid plug on it that you can't get connectors for anymore. So, yeah. The Vauxhall one bolts straight on and has a generic plug on it, so it gets my vote.
Trapped inside a fake reality. Better days will never come for me.
I will be tidying this up, don't worry. Just I'm very reluctant to finish off any connections until I decide if they're actually working or not. So, idle valves in, plenum and all's on, turbos are on, all plumbed up. I just need to get the map sensor wired in. It's currently still hanging here, so I need to find a spot for it, which this is it. So I need to find a spot for it somewhere. Then plumb it into a vacuum or into the plenum somewhere. Then whenever my servo arrives, get it fitted in here again. This is the hole for the servo assist. So that's the turbos all fitted. That's the all plumbed as well. The plenum, everything in there all fitted. Fuel system finished and all tested, pressure tested, etc. So I know it works. The only other really remaining jobs that I can think of before starting are fitting the servo, wiring in the oil pressure sensor, which is already plumbed in and fitted, sorting out the NOx sensor, and fitting an oil filter and putting oil in. So stay tuned for the next episode, because it will start the next episode. And in case you don't want to miss that, please hit the subscribe button. Hit the notification belly thing beside it as well, so that you're notified whenever that one pops up online. I'm off work next week, so there will be lots of progress, hopefully. It'll be a big moment in the project to get it started up. I think it really will give me a push to get her finished and on the road again. So yes, if you've liked what you've seen, hit the like button, or the dislike button if you haven't liked what you've seen. Again, let me know about the audio and video. I'm still playing about with it to see what it's like, basically. It's hard to know whatever you're shooting raw before you get it onto the computer to edit. Pop over to my socials, they'll appear on the screen, and if you like what you're seeing and you want to support the channel, pop over to my Patreon. Details will appear in the description and at the top right. It was thanks to the patrons that I was able to get the wireless microphone set up and sort out my my camera that I hadn't got a lens for, to get the quality a bit better for you. So if you want to see more improvements, please pop over, you can have a look. Yeah, until the next time, thanks for sticking by. See you later.